The U.S. military has quietly, behind the scenes, been preparing for an entirely new battlefield. Antarctica. They have quietly been releasing some articles that talk about this, and nobody is paying attention. Do not be surprised within the next year to 2, possibly 3, if you don't see soldiers heading for certain undisclosed parts of South America on their way to somewhere else. Someplace much colder. Someplace where they're going to have to make all sorts of adaptations that they've never had to deal with before. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are probably scratching your heads, maybe wondering about the article we talked about a few days back about this curious Coast Guard cutter, icebreaker, that they are mounting some very advanced weapons on. We talked about the VT Halter Marine Polar Security Cutter, heavy class icebreaker, will mount 2 30mm Mark 38 Mod 4s with 50 cal coaxial heavy machine guns on the bow and also aft on the port side. Now, the mission of this craft is resupply in Antarctica. These guns are not meant for taking out pirates. These guns are meant for taking out multiple aircraft. Now, this is 24 September 2012. This is the Mark III, and it had the ability to be modified to use a tactical laser system. And people have been asking the question, if we have the ability to adapt to these brand new airburst munitions, why not go with the Mod 4s? But it's not the Navy, it's the Coast Guard. This is the only picture that I could find of the brand new Mod 4 gun, and believe me, it is not meant for taking out small pirate craft. And besides, what could a pirate craft do to an icebreaker anyway? But there's another story. They slipped and they accidentally revealed it, and it was an entirely different topic I was going to talk about. It's something the Army has needed to do for a very, very long time. They have finally done a study, and they're starting to fix their sleep problem. I know that sounds like that's a little thing, but all of you military guys out there know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes when you get out of the military for some amount of time, you forget how tired you were all the time. Now, when I was in, long time ago, there was no such thing as smartphones. So if you accidentally dozed off when you weren't supposed to, you could get messed up for it, but usually it was forgotten. I can't imagine what it's like now in the era of the smartphone, where if you were to slip for even a little bit, it would be immortalized for the rest of your life. Especially as a young soldier, how mortifying that would be. The anxiety levels have to be off the charts, but they figured something out, and I wanted to cover this because it's just as important. They've done this research, and they have found some absolutely stunning conclusions. And it'll explain something that most people will look at and go, of course, how did we not see this coming? Anyone who served in any military unit can attest, sometimes even most of the time, an 8-hour sleep block may not be possible. They're going to start allowing soldiers to take these 20-minute power naps, but they've got to go a lot farther than this, because it enhances not only performance, but also safety. Wait until you see what they did. I mean, can you imagine this picture being what everybody saw of you in the military for the rest of your life? It's horrible, absolutely horrible. Brager and the Sleep Research Center team conducted a similar study with soldiers from the 1st Armored Division while they were stationed at Camp Berry in Kuwait, and found almost identical results. Now, wait until you hear this. At 7 or more hours of sleep, a soldier is 98% combat effective. At 6 hours, that drops to 50%. At 5 hours, the soldier's down to 28% combat effectiveness. 4 hours or less, and the soldier is practically a liability to the unit at only 15% combat effectiveness. The kicker? Before that second study, the Army's official guidance for adequate soldier sleep time was 4 hours. That's what it was when I was in. It's nearly impossible for a soldier to be combat effective at that level of sleep. And this also goes to you guys prepping for end of the world kind of stuff. The end of the world as we know it, shit hits the fan, whatever you want to call it, without rule of law. This is something a lot of people don't prep for. How absolutely useless you'll be if you don't plan for this. But wait until you hear this. This is the biggest reveal. Studies from the research center that Brager also cited showed a significant, as much as 50% drop in testosterone among Army Rangers who had major sleep loss and who switched to night operations during a 2-day study. Now, does that explain some things going on in the military? Let's put on our thinking caps for a minute and let's see if we can think about things that we've seen in the military over the last 5 to 10 years that have been a little bit strange, a little bit odd. A 50% drop in testosterone, and they remain low until soldiers took time to sleep. Studies have also found that switching from daytime to night operations also affected the test subject's stationary balance and coordination. During the discussion, an audience member asked Brager how the Army was working within certain communities, such as Rangers and Special Forces. Both of those organizations internationally inject sleep deprivation into training. You are, in a sense, pre-selecting for people who are resilient to sleep deprivation. But yet there are ways to determine more quickly who has an innate ability to fight off the effects of sleep deprivation. Unfortunately, current research shows this is mostly a genetic factor and not something that can be trained. What does that mean? That there were guys going through Special Forces that were playing on an entirely different battlefield. That there were guys that had a genetic advantage. Not bigger, stronger, faster, taller. Able to deal without sleep. Now, you ready for this? I'm sure the Antarctica people are like, cool story, McKee. Still waiting on the Antarctica stuff. Though there is good news. Research. Now, pay attention here. By the Argentine Navy? No. Research with the Argentine Navy, where researchers and sailors lived isolated in Antarctica for a year. Wait. Military? In Antarctica? Back the truck up, kids. I didn't think the military was allowed to be in Antarctica. I thought the Antarctic Treaty said you couldn't have the military in Antarctica. Well, sometimes they go there for supply missions, but for a year. Isolated in Antarctica for a year with varying schedules of daylight and nighttime, found that if subjects got sufficient sleep in the 24-hour cycle, they could remain well rested. But wait a minute. Armada de Chile, Base Naval Antártica, Comandante Arturo Prat. Armada de Chile. I don't think I probably have to translate for my audience what Armada de Chile means. Or Base Naval Antártica means. Military bases in Antarctica. Security cutters armed up with weapons specifically designed to knock fast-moving aircraft out of the sky, and soldiers stationed there. Put it all together. Put everything together, and it all makes sense. See, they're not telling you, but they're telling you. They're showing you what they're doing. Sometimes it's just a simple piece about sleep deprivation in the military, and they don't realize what they are revealing. So I'll leave it there. Be prepared. It's coming. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.